He's long since gone. A heavy key clicks an iron lock open. No one's been home for a long time now, as the tall young man passes through the first of a pair of barred cell doors. A different key clicks open the second lock, and the man picks up a torch to light his way as he passes through the second doorway into a dark underground hallway. He keeps on about it. I'm honestly surprised that you even know his name. He's been here 10 years or so. No one's come to visit at all. They say he's some sort of lord from up north somewhere. You follow the young man through a long passageway and into a small cluster of mostly empty cells. We keep him down here, you see. The others, well, they used to provoke him, so we had to move him. I don't much like keeping him down here, but we had to, you see. The man continues to explain as he waves a torch over the bars of the only occupied cell. The light touches over a nameplate, and you can just read the first two letters clearly as R-O, but the rest are obscured by dust. The young man steps easily towards the cell and hangs the torch on a sconce before opening its heavy metal latch. He was a kind man, I think. He's a lovely patient. He wouldn't hurt anyone, but I think it's mostly because, he's gone. The man points to his head with a sad expression on his face before swinging the door open and calling to the inmate. My lord, you've got a guest. Inside the darkened cell, a weary man of his middle years stepped gently forward. His skin pale and drawn tight across his bones from malnourishment. He looks almost undead. But that's fine. You don't need him healthy, you just need him alive. Alive so you can finish your hunt once and for all. A man's eyes glisten with fear and sorrow as he takes you in. He knows who you are and what you're here for. And then, for an instant, he is himself again, the warrior poet of Ard. His eyes become the blue steel of their youth, and his hands fall into fragile, white-knuckled fists. And the last words he and the young orderly will hear are yours, as you whisper, "Here, boy." Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Dungeons & Dragons and the lore that surrounds them.
Welcome, listeners, one and all, to another episode of Encounter This. My name is Freeman Wisht Easton, your co-host, and along with me is James Ard Kid. I almost said Easton. I think you did that last time.
I did exactly that thing last time.
Son of a bitch. And he's going to be bringing us through a creature known as the Yeth Hound. This one's from Volo's Guide to Monsters 201, page 201. I believe this is the second one we've done outside of the monster manual. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Oh, God. It's going to be a whole thing of offending any listeners we have with a speech impediment, isn't it? I was avoiding making that joke.
Well, one of us had to get it out of the way.
You've gone right in there. Okay, there might be some lisps coming through here.
I mean, that's really it. I can't lisp. My tongue stud prevents that, and it kind of always has.
Yeah, it's like you kind of have a sibilant S from your tongue ring to begin with, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I have a hard time with the TH sound, so I've really got to enunciate.
Yeah, so if anyone's feeling on the edge, James has every right to do it. He does it himself anyway.
Yeah, except I'm just weight training.
Yeah. All right, so Yeth Hounds. Tell me about them. Why are they in Volo's Guide?
Okay, well, I imagine it's because Volo found them and they just did not make the cut for the initial monster manual, but they're kind of a legacy creature. So I would assume that's why they're in Volo's Guide, but okay. I cannot be certain.
Gotcha.
Chris Perkins could not be reached for comment.
Oh, he never responds to my texts.
Yeth Hounds are created by powerful Fey of the Unseelie Court and then gifted to those who please them. They seem to be loyal servants and serve evil masters like hunting dogs, but they fly in pursuit of their prey while waiting for their prey to become too tired to fight back before going in for the kill. So once they're brought into existence, a pack must have a master who is telepathically connected with the hounds and can then command them from afar. If the master of the pack is killed, the hounds then seek and choose a new evil master, such as a necromancer, vampire, or hag. In the meanwhile, they'll follow the strongest member of the pack as like an alpha. But they tend to have a little loyalty to each other outside of that.
Right. Okay. Cool. So they are hunting dogs, evil hunting dogs. You say they flying in pursuit. They literally fly?
They literally fly.
A dog that flies. I like it.
Yep. It's crazy. They're a really rich creature. There's a lot more here than I ever expected there to be. I kind of thought they were just going to be some dull, weird looking dog thing. Like, they look kind of stupid, but they're a very rich creature.
Yeah, they I mean, looking at the artwork here, the first one just looks like a panther with a couple of, I mean, it looks like horns. I think it's its ears. But
that's its ears, yeah. From first edition we're looking at here.
Yeah, and second one, they're very creepy, shadowy things. I kind of like that second edition art because it's very vague and unspecific, and the other ones leave a little bit to be desired for sure.
Third edition, they kind of just look like a fox.
Yeah, but there is an odd human nature to the faces in most of that artwork, eh?
Yeah, which I'm glad you touched on, and we will get back to.
I'm sure we will.
So they are big. They are large creatures in most editions, and they stand about 5 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh about 180 kilos or 450 pounds. Which,
wow.
Yeah, as you know, is about 2.5 beer kegs or one really tubby panda.
That's amazing. Wow, that's a big dog, and they fly.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so we're clear that this weight comparison thing has become one of my favorite bits.
I like that a lot. You should keep that up.
I plan to, yeah. Their fur is black. Like, it's so black that it's supposed to camo into the night, and they have glowing red eyes, but they smell like smoke, so almost acidic. And they have a human face that is held up by a very, very flexible neck. That's in the notes because it's in the monster manual. Like, it specifically touches on how strong their neck is.
Gotcha.
Which I think is probably why the 30 art looks like that.
Right, yeah.
Which you'll be able to see on our Instagram because we have one of those now.
We do have one of those now. It took me a full day to learn how to use it. And then I posted a couple of times, and I immediately heard back from our guys in the Starfinder group tell me how I did it wrong. So it's like, son of a bitch. Like, your picture's being cropped off. You got to hit that button. And I was like, oh, thanks, guys. I'm old.
Instagram is so outside of our wheelhouse.
Seriously.
Do you know what our handle is?
I think it's encounter.this. I think it's got a little period between the words, and that's it. It's just encounter.this. Okay. Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
I'll double check it. But before the end of the episode, I'll make sure that's correct.
Okay. So the other big thing about Yeth Hounds is their bay. It's said to inspire terror and can be heard from all around. And when a creature falls victim to its horrible bay, they flee in terror. This is when the hound starts to chase it down and torment it before it allows its hunt to draw to a close. Mm-hmm. And it's said they'll draw out the fight as long as possible, just getting the victim to scream before ripping them limb from limb, which is pretty dark.
That's some harpy shit right there. Just love the torture, eh?
Yeah, they're a really interesting creature. They pull a lot of assets from kind of everywhere, but also a lot of it comes from the real world lore, which is pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
So those who stand their ground against the Yeth Hound will find that their weapons pass through them like it was made of fog. But magic and silvered weapons can strike true, which is a direct pull from the Vola's Guide to Monsters there.
Cool.
Yeah, obviously a reference to its DR.
Sure, yeah.
But and they tend to use the same tactics as dogs, but they're much smarter and they don't really care about each other. So it's a weird kind of duality in that sentence already.
Wait, say that again?
They tend to use the same tactics as dogs, but they're much smarter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they use like pack tactics, but I can't say pack tactics because it's not.
Right.
Mechanically, they won't use pack tactics because they hate each other.
There definitely there's some at odds information there.
Yeah,
okay, sure.
So again, this is an amalgamation of all the stuff through the editions. So
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that was probably from 2E, just based on the art there. Mm-hmm. But again, pack tactics refers to how the master guides them and stuff like that. As long as they have a master, they're pretty much subservient.
Okay.
But a pack will never keep fighting after dawn and will seek to return to their den. Apparently, sunlight can banish them to the ethereal plane, where their master has to retrieve them after the sun has set. And it seems like the sun is the only thing they're really afraid of, is they do not want to be pushed into the ethereal plane.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, there's some reference to the deep material plane and the shallow material plane, or ethereal planes there, but that stuff really just threw me off, so I didn't really include it. If you're interested in that, you can find it in Volos. It's a weird one.
I keep getting a little bit lost and confused when it comes to certain planes, because sometimes if I don't have a big grasp on the sort of wheel, I guess, that shows you like kind of the position and all the different planes, and I feel like I always get the ethereal plane and the shadow plane mixed up. Do they both exist in 5e? Or is
yes,
one just the other in different systems? Like,
no. So the shadow plane is Shadowfell in 5e, and that's below.
Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah. So I think the way it works is that the Shadowfell is below the material plane, the FeyWild is above the material plane, and the ethereal plane surrounds those three.
Gotcha.
I just shot a link to it over in the Discord. Maybe that's our Instagram post for tomorrow.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So that is traditional 5e canon, that planar map there.
Cool. Yeah, that makes way more sense.
And here's where I start butchering words. So Yeth Hounds are specifically known as the servitors of Ki Unseelie, also known as the Lady of the Dead or the Vengeful Banshee.
Okay.
She's a chaotic evil drow deity, and they are the sons of Veyron, the drow mascot of the night, or the Shadow Lord, also chaotic evil, but this one serves Lolth.
Gotcha.
The drow pantheon is so far outside of my wheelhouse that I did not even want to get into those.
I mean, that is something we've dabbled in here and there, especially covering creatures and just in our own time. But pantheons, like proper pantheons and planes, like we were just saying, they just have so much depth to them. It's hard to sometimes really pull them in, like, when you're building a world or something like that, or like, because you don't often visit them so much with your characters or your players. So I mean, you can build around that, but it's sort of second or third on the list of big things to really delve into. So it's that's something that makes me want to do another show eventually. Discussing the planes, discussing those pantheons, discussing those rulers of those worlds, like we were talking about Azers on the previous episode.
Right.
It's like, what do we know about this elemental plane of fire and the city of brass? Like, how much fun would it be to do a show based on that?
It would be super fun. Speaking of planes, there's a really cool quote here from the Planescape Monstrous Compendium.
Okay, Planescape Monstrous Compendium. All right. I thought you were going to make a joke about how Yeth Hounds can fly like an airplane or something.
No. Same, not the homonym.
Okay.
So this is a quote from the warrior poet Rodol of Ard.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that was your nickname.
It was.
All right.
It was really hard to come up with nicknames for this. The baying sound echoes through my blood. I have heard the call of the hound. As in a nightmare, I run from that sound. My bravery vanishes in fierce flood. Whence came thy hounds? In what cave do they lair? What have they chosen me, I who was brave? What will become of me now as fierce slave? I will live until morning to breathe light air. They will never leave, for they lodge in my dreams. I know they'll devour me, living only in my screams.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's actually said that Ard retired from adventuring after his encounter with Yeth Hounds and banned all dogs and wolves from his castle. And he eventually died of a heart attack after hearing the howling of a distant coyote.
Sweet Lord.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the CR of this creature is.
Right? And fun fact, this is literally the only reference from Roald Dahl of Ard is in the Planescape Monsters Compendium. All of the
really?
things the poem and that little 2-sentence description both appear in it.
He needs more. He deserves more. What he's got is not much, but it's full of flavor. That's amazing.
And as always, we'll link that in the shout outs. Mm-hmm. Yeth Hound's first appearance was in the Monster Manual 2 from first edition in 1983, but they've appeared in every edition since with the exception of 4th edition. In 2nd and 3rd, they were medium size instead of large, but always neutral evil. And this is actually where I put in my note. 3E art is weird, and they almost look like a fox.
Right, yeah. Yeah, this is a strange one. I feel like I'm even saying the 2nd edition art I like. I feel like it's just a stretch. I only like it compared to the others. I don't really like any of them. It's kind of weird.
I actually really like the 5E art. I think it really accurately represents what these creatures are.
It is. It does have an unsettlingly. What's the word I'm looking for? It has an unsettling nature to it.
Yeah, and it should.
Yeah. So I guess there's that. It is weird to imagine that thing being like 5 or 6 feet tall.
To me, it even looks big in the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, and
like
the angle,
regular human head size.
Right, and the angle that it's at, you really get the feel for how large and bulky its neck is.
Yeah, which I don't understand why they touched on it, but they did.
But there it is, yeah.
But imagine that thing being like wispy and smoky and ethereal and hovering after you.
Smells like smoke.
I think you'll find out very shortly why I like these creatures quite a bit.
Okay, cool.
And it's their cultural lore. A couple other notes about them. A pack is between 4 and 16. They den underground like a wolf. If wild, they usually roam in Hades, which is another one of those. I think it's the lowest plane. They only eat warm-blooded creatures, but they prefer humans and demi-humans, specifically mentioning brownies here, which I thought was pretty funny. And they only need to eat 1 lunar month, which is about 29 and a half days. Very specific, but it's in there.
Yeah, that's funny. Brownies.
Yeah, brownies were weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't remember. I think brownies do pop up as an official creature at some point in one of the editions. It was a little while back. I was researching them along with like loads of other tiny fae, like pixies and sprites and stuff. I don't really remember much. I remember there was brownies have a lot of vague cultural lore just tied in with all of the other tiny creatures, essentially. So there's a lot of mix matching between those things, up to and including the red caps.
Yeah, because you were looking at brownies for April, right?
Yeah, I was thinking of doing a tiny face suite, and getting put to the wayside. I think it turned out to be it was going to be more than just a couple episodes. I was trying to figure out how to bulk them in together in a more appropriate way, but I think we just ended up getting a little carried away with hags and it got put to the wayside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's still on my list of things I'd like to do for sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think you'd have a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
That one too. They seem to be up your alley.
Yeah, Tiny Fae are really nifty, and they certainly have a wide range of evil and not so much, and neutral and all that. And so I'm sure they will tie in to a number of the creatures we've already covered and will cover.
So that brings us into the cultural lore.
Yeah, real world stuff, where the truth comes out. Stuff. Yeah, it's
the true truth.
It's the historical truths. Yeah. Here we come.
So. It is truth and fact that these are directly based on the Yeth Hound of Devon, a headless black dog known for its wailing.
Okay.
Yeah, so Yeth Hounds are specifically based on this creature, which is where a lot of it comes from.
Yeth Hound of Devon, that's in the UK?
It is, yeah, Devonshire. Or Devon. Yeah, I'm going to say Devonshire. I'm sorry.
The mystic land of Devonshire.
I'm gonna mispronounce a lot of these.
It's okay. It's part of our shtick now.
Part of our charm, I think.
Yeah.
we need an English person on Patreon to correct us there.
Just a couple of Canadians pronouncing everything wrong.
And this is part 2 of my 4-part Black Dog suite. Hellhounds being the first part.
Yeah.
The next one will be Barghest, followed by Shadow Mastiff.
Sick. That's the one I'm excited for. I don't really know anything about Barghest, but Shadow Massive I'm excited for.
Yeah. So the difference between the Yeth Hound of 5e and Devonshire folklore is that the Yeth in Devon are headless dogs, actually, and they're the spirit of unbaptized children's.
Oof. Here comes the old Catholic Church again.
I mean, it's not so bad. I mean, it is bad, but you're thinking of it'll be worse than Shadow Mastiff, I assure
Okay.
you.
Oh, sure. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. By comparison, this one's mild, you're saying.
Well, it's more like, okay, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but so the Yeth Hound is a Fey creature, so I kind of leaned into the Fey for this.
Okay.
Whereas the Shadow Mastiff is a fiend, so I took anything that was directly related to hell that wasn't applicable to the Hellhound and put that in Shadow Mastiff.
Gotcha.
And then anything that was magical or had to do with kind of like the Fey or the Wild Hunt came into Yeth Hounds. And then anything that was like shape-changing and grim got moved into Barghest. So
okay.
That's how it breaks down a little bit.
All right. We'll have to, yeah. I can't wait to... maybe we'll put out a bonus episode or something where we lump them all together.
Yeah. Oh, God, it'd be so big. Be so big. Okay.
All right, what we got? Yeah.
Right. So Yeth Hounds ramble through the woods at night, and it is said that a notorious squire, Richard Cabell, sold his soul to the devil. And then there are rumors of floating around that he became immortal and he murdered his wife, and he is known in that area as Dirty Dick, and he was supposed to be their huntsmaster.
Oh, my God. All right. So, Dirty Dick murdered his wife, sold his soul to the devil, and it is the huntsmaster for the headless dog spirits of unbaptized children. That's what you're telling me.
Yep, that is correct. Yep.
All right. Someone's going to make some fan art of that.
There is fan art.
Is there? Oh no.
Yeah. No. Trust me. Let's just keep powering through. So like this is like kind of the drop in the bucket, right? Like Cabell will come up again. So when he died, it is said that black hounds were to have appeared around his burial chamber, where he would rise from the dead and lead them on a hunt. So that's where all of this starts. Better than that, it is said that these hounds had red eyes, coal-black fur, and enormous, and that this was the inspiration for Lord Baskerville in Arthur Conan Doyle's Hounds of Baskerville.
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
And that's why I like these guys so much. But
yeah,
there's competition for that title. We'll see in our next type of ethereal hound, known as Wished Hounds.
Ah, my nickname, the Wished.
Yeah. So these are really similar to Yeth Hounds, except they're from Dartmoor, which is like 20 miles south of Devon.
Okay.
And they're said to only populate Wistman's woods. Anybody who hears their cry will die. And Wish, W-H-I-S-H, or Wished, W-H-I-S-H-T, are common terms for weird and sorrow associated with mysterious causes. So if you ever feel like sad, like weirdly sad for no reason, like it's technically a wished.
Gotcha. This is like probably like an old English kind of archaic thing. Eh? Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So like if you trace that word hard enough, you can actually find out who invented it. I didn't write it down, but or to find it, I guess is better. And the Wished Hounds, it said their master is the huntsman is probably the devil himself, but other people say it's Sir Francis Drake, who was a man who was born in Devon. He's a very famous slave trader, but he also was the first person to circumnavigate the globe in 1577.
Yeah.
In one trip, anyway. So there are a lot of reasons that they would think he's the devil, but
he's
decided to list slave trader
famous,
first.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, amazing. That's pretty cool. I don't know if you ever played the Uncharted video games, but that's where I learned. I've learned most of the things I know about Sir Francis Drake, which is little to none now. Came from those games. Nathan Drake, sort of the illusion that he's the descendant of him, and he's got his like notebook and stuff, and following his footsteps and finding all these crazy, mythological things.
Yeah,
good old Drake.
I mean, they're good games. But yeah, so presumably he's the devil and he's the huntsmaster of the Wish Hounds.
Cool. That's a metaphor I didn't pick up on those video games. I'm just go play them again.
I'm sure they may have left that one out, but we can reach out to Naughty Dog on Twitter and see what.
Yeah, let's do it.
I compiled a little list here of famous people, specifically from Devon, because it came up.
Okay.
My personal favorite is Agatha Christie. I saw that, and I just wanted to shout her out because I fucking love her books.
Sweet. Yeah.
I've been working my way through the Poirot series this year. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who's a poet. The band Muse apparently formed while they were all living in Devon. I could not be fucked to go down the
hilarious.
Go down the rabbit hole to find that out. Robert Falcon Scott, who led the first expedition to actually reach the center of the South Pole. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
But obviously they can't all be winners. Chris Martin from Coldplay's from there, and he's probably the worst singer of all time.
Now, why do you think he's the worst
Chris
singer
Martin.
of all time? Do you think he's the worst singer because you don't like the music he produces, or you don't?
No,
think he
I
has a
think
nice
his
voice?
music's great. It's just anytime anybody else sings it, it's good.
Amazing. Okay, I think we've covered this before, where you're a ska fan, so your opinion's moot. I think those were your words.
Oh,
too.
yeah. No, I mean, that's true. Except in this case.
Except when I'm right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right about a couple of things when it comes to music, and it's that Chris Martin can't sing, Guns N' Roses is terrible, and every AC/DC song sounds the exact same.
I'll give you those last two for sure. I don't like Guns N'
John
Roses
Bon
at all.
Jovi should just stop selling his music. Like, if I never heard another John Bon Jovi song, I'd be a happy man.
I can't tell you how many Bon Jovi songs we did when I performed at the dinner theater. All right. Well, we've gone from Agatha Christie to Bon Jovi's music.
Right. Okay. Let's
I wish
talk
I could
about
say I've been
Gabriel.
drinking, but I haven't.
All right. So we'll bring it back to another human name, and it's Gabriel Ratchets, which is another type of Yeth Hound or magical hound.
Gabriel Ratchet. Okay.
Yeah, I think Yeth Hounds are like a combination of the Devonshire Yeth and Gabriel Hounds, and I think you'll see why.
Okay.
So Ratchet is a dog that hunts by scent. I don't know where that's from, the etymology of it. Another word for them is sky yelpers. So they fly. They're often heard but not seen. Mm-hmm. They're also said to be the soul of an unbaptized child. Mm-hmm. They're dogs with human faces.
Okay.
They hover over the house as a sign of death or misfortune.
Ooh, that would be
And they're
weird. Yep.
Yeah. And they're named after a man called Gabriel, who is a huntsman who is said to have sinned by hunting on a Sunday, so his punishment was forever to be the master of these hellhounds.
Okay.
Their cry is a death omen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in real life, real talk, they might actually just be based on a flock of geese, which is something that I heard more than once.
Seriously?
Yeah, somebody confusing a flock of geese for a pack of Gabriel hounds.
You're telling me a honk honk is a death omen cry?
Yep, it's possible.
That's so good. Yeah, it seems pretty obvious.
It's its bay, but yeah.
Yeah. It seems pretty obvious that this is another example of wizards combining, just different colloquial versions of the same animal to amalgamate them into one, and they pick, the cooler name of the lot, Yeth Hounds, as opposed to Wisht or Gabriel, something that's a little more accessible and kind of fantastical sounding.
For sure.
But obviously, you said the Yeth Hounds there from Devon, they had no head, but these Gabriel ones do. And but then they are both, the souls of unbaptized children, and they both have a huntsman. So yeah, it seems pretty obvious they're combining that together to make one.
And a couple of honorable mentions here: the Black Dog of Aylesbury, the Black Dog of Lyme Regis, the Black Dog of Newgate, which is actually Newgate Prison, Padfoot, Skriker/Trash, which are apparently the same creature. It's just a large black dog that makes a splashing sound while walking. I thought was really adorable.
Yeah.
And those are also like similar, but they don't have nearly as much information on them as like the Gabriel Hound or the Yeth Hound.
Right. All right. Interesting. I'm getting a little bit of a vibe. We might have mentioned this in Hellhounds, so it's been a while now, and I know you've been recently rereading through The Wheel of Time. But I get a bit of a Darkhound vibe in just some of the descriptions. They are like one of the cooler creatures that rarely pop up, I think, in that series. I don't know if you remember them at all.
Darkhounds.
Yeah, they basically smell. I think there's a smell of sulfur or smoke in the air, so that's what originally reminded me of it when you said that early on.
Okay.
And but they have this really weird thing where they don't leave tracks on the dirt and mud and grass, but they do on stone, where their paw prints melt into the stone. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I do remember that. They've only encountered one so far because I'm only like 3 or 4 books in right now. I'm not super deep, and I've never finished the series. So.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. I still have to catch up on it. I mean, they seem pretty above board, I guess, for differences in the cultural and D&D lore.
Yeah, there's not really much. They're both large dogs with red eyes and sort of ethereal with a human face and a huntsman. So they are really well tied in, because they're. I don't know if I don't know where it's listed, but I think it's in the Planescape compendium that we talked about earlier with Roldal of Ard. That it's actually listed specifically in a D&D book that they're based on the Hounds of the Yeth Hounds of Devon. So I would be surprised if they weren't pulled in.
Yeah.
The biggest difference is the tie to the FeyWild, which. Like I said earlier, I think it was really just to help differentiate it between the Hellhound and the Barghest and maybe even the Shadow Mastiff.
Right, yeah.
Even that doesn't quite fit, so I'm wondering if it has to do with tying it in with the lore of the Earl King and the Unseelie Court, but I haven't been able to find a reference to the Earl King in D&D at all. I found Monsters of the Hunt from Masters of the Hunt, from Monsters of Phelan by Kaywood Publishing, and I found a Lord of the Hunt in Tome of Beasts by Kobold Press. But if anybody out there knows if there's an Earl King or a Master of the Hunt or a Goblin Lord or really whatever in D&D, I would really love to. I'd really love to read that because he's one of my favorite characters in the Dresden Files. Is the Earl King? I think they do a really good job of dealing with him there.
Sure. And this Master Hunt and Lord of the Hunt, they're like creatures, like stat block creatures in these books.
Yeah. Yeah, they're statted out in the Monsters of Phelan and the Tomb of Beasts.
What are they exact? Are they Fey themselves, and they like humanoid or?
Yeah, they're Fey. So there's this event called the Wild Hunt. It's a fictional thing that happens, but it's a really heavily tied into Fey lore.
Right.
I can't really speak too much about it other than what it is in the Dresden Files, and I don't really know how. Comparable that is to 5e.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to a very important part of our format.
Some might say the most important
part. The most important part. I have to redeem myself, or rather, I have a very important thing to specify. And when I say very important, I mean crucial to what we do here at Encounter This. And last time I didn't have a stout, if you remember correctly.
I remember. I think you were drinking the Jongleur wheat ale.
I was drinking the Jongleur, I believe, yeah. But it's either going to save me in the eyes of our listeners and fan base or demonize me. But I actually had 4 cans of the stout in my fridge when I claimed I didn't have any. So I didn't drink one during the episode, but I had them. They were just shoved in the back somewhere. So
perfect.
There's that. But today I promise that's what I'm drinking. The old Blackmail Stout.
I'm on my second one now. I'm sure the mic picked up the cracking of it. And a big thanks to them, and a big thanks to you, listeners, for sticking with us through. This will be our 21st episode, 22nd episode.
22. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Time flies.
So we're getting up there.
Yeah.
And we've got. We'll be recording 23 later tonight, and then the next time we sit down, it could be 24 and 25 goddamn episodes.
That's like a whole arbitrary milestone or something like that.
Yeah, I appreciate an arbitrary milestone. I'm not the Matthew Capitacaz of our group.
Technically, I think I would be. I'm so on his side every time. I love it.
I think that's probably true. I never really thought about it.
Just when it comes to that particular topic, I'm the Matthew Capitacaz. I like things to be a little more above board. Like, no, this is pointless, guys. All right, so mechanics. Let's see how these mechanics are going to work out with what we got. What's the CR on this baby?
So predictably, as with it seems every creature we cover, it's low. They're only a CR4.
Lame.
It is, but There's a really good reason for it, I think.
Okay. I'm sure we'll find a way to beef them up.
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
I'll be honest, I haven't really thought about it this time around. So
yeah, fair enough.
Normally I think about it before we go, but today I'm just going to be making it up. They've got 51 hit points, and they've got 14 natural AC.
Mm-hmm.
They are large, fey, and neutral evil. They understand Common, Elvish, and Sylvan, but cannot speak. DI non-magical and non-silvered, so if you've got a magical weapon or a silvered weapon, it all goes through.
Wait, that's DI or DR?
DI. Damage oh, no.
Because if they're immune...
No, that's DI. Damage immunity. Yeah, so I've got the book open next to me, so yeah, that's not a typo, listeners. They're immune to non-magical and non-silvered bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
That's pretty gnarly. Yeah, that could be really difficult.
That'll fuck your day up.
Yeah.
Not to go back and hammer the point home, but it's shit like this on a CR4 creature, the DI, that make me really believe that 5e is supposed to be a high magic system.
Right.
I know we've touched on it a bunch, and I know I'm usually on the wrong end of that conversation, but it's, every now and again I see something, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm right.
Yeah, I think the it's more of what you say is that the CRs are seldom accurate, or rather the CR system is not very good at actually determining what the difficulty of the creature is. Like, because this creature could be way higher CR if you're in a low magic setting, straight up, right? You don't have access to magical weapons.
How they think the game's going to be played, right?
Right.
Like, there's a formula at Wizards where this shit happens, and it's like, okay, well, a CR4 creature that's a one party of 4 PCs at 4th level. Mm-hmm. Then this leads me to believe that at 4th level, at least 2 of those players should have magical items,
right? Or at least a silvered weapon, which is, situational and low cost alternative. In any case, a large floating dog that is immune to non-magical hits, that is pretty terrifying.
Yeah, so they've got a dark vision of 60 feet, and they've got a 40-foot speed, which is pretty typical of dogs, which I still think is really low. Mm-hmm. But they've also got a 40-feet hover speed, which is way better. It's a hover mechanic.
They don't have like a maneuverability bullshit thing.
No,
cool.
Nothing like that.
That's pretty powerful.
And they've got the usual dog mechanic, keen hearing / smell, which is just advantage on perception that require hearing or smell. Mm-hmm. Here's why I think it's CR4 is pretty reasonable. And I really hate how this is worded in the book, so I tried to condense it down so it makes sense. But go to your Vola's Guide to Monsters, listeners, and read the Sunlight Banishment action, and it's really chunky.
Okay.
So... If the Yeth Hound starts its turn in sunlight, it is transported to the ethereal plane. While sunlight shines on the spot that it vanished from, the hound must remain in the ethereal plane. After sunset, it returns to border the ethereal plane at the same point from which it vanished from, but it is visible in the material plane at this point. Mm-hmm. This is where we get into the shallow and the border and the deep ethereal plane, and I do not understand how those work mechanically.
Okay.
It can return to the material plane as an action once it is adjacent to its master or a packmate who is on the material plane.
Gotcha.
So that is... I hope I did that justice, and I hope you understand that, because
really, I think I do. I wonder... So I just pulled up the planes map thing that you had posted, and I don't see a limbo. Oh, no, I do. Shit.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking, this border ethereal plane might be like a limbo-esque thing.
Right. So do you see the way the ethereal plane's a full circle around the Shadowfell and the material plane?
Yeah.
I think that's the deep ethereal plane, and then there's a line dividing the Shadowfell and the FeyWild from the material plane.
Right.
I think that's the border.
The border, okay.
Ethereal plane. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Thank God for our visual medium, hey?
Visual. Our first show with visual aids.
Make sure you have all your books open when you're listening to the episode. Like, don't be doing this during house chores, guys. You better have
now.
Yeah, you have the Forgotten Realms wiki better be put up. The best way to go about this is actually just subscribe to our Patreon and go into our chats and stuff on Discord and and then you can follow along with those.
We're on Discord most nights.
Yeah.
Whether it be early or late, but you can always jump in and we'll slide into a chat channel with us and ask us what the hell we're talking about.
And we'll try to answer convincingly.
Right. And then its next action is telepathic bond. And, as with every creature in D&D, I have to find something I don't like. I've made it my mission in life, and it's this one in particular, and how this one works with sunlight banishment. Mm-hmm. So while the Yeth Hound is on the same plane as its master, it can magically convey what it senses to its master, and the two can telepathically communicate to each other. Right. So I get it. But like a Hellhound has an intelligence, or a Yeth Hound has an intelligence of 5. What could it possibly be conveying to its master?
I can't wait to cover this in our next episode when I cover homunculi.
Telepathic bond?
Yeah, because that's in there. I tell you, a little sneak peek. Telepathic bond.
I think it's to justify its next one. Yeah, it's fine, I guess. I don't understand why the huntsman wouldn't just command it. Right. But
yeah, what's the next thing then? Yeah.
Its next thing is attacks. It has a bite attack, which is a +6 to hit, 2d6 +4 piercing, which is not bad for a CR4. It's not great.
Yep.
But it does 4d6 psychic damage on top of that if the target is frightened. So I think that's why it does the psychic damage, is because it's telepathic.
Sure. And I assume it has...
Again, I don't understand at all.
Right. I assume it has something that causes fright?
Yeah, so it's its next attack. It's the Baleful Bay. It magically bays, essentially. For those of you who don't know what a bay is, YouTube it. It's really confusing. It's something between like a howl and a yelp.
Okay. Whine.
I had to go. I watched like 12 videos of hounds baying because I just did not get what they were doing. But it's
weird. Okay.
Essentially, it's a whine, but it's like halfway between a whine and a howl.
Okay.
And it's specifically a hound trait, it seems. All of the videos on YouTube are of a dashed hound or a... is a beagle a hound?
That's a good question. God. I'm not sure. They are hunting dogs, so...
Yeah. Anyway,
I think so.
Don't write us in if a beagle's a hound. I don't care.
That's not what this show is about, guys. Put your dog encyclopedias away and stick with the real books.
That being said, if you do have a dog like picture encyclopedia, tweet me a link of that. I would like to have that on my coffee table. I like photo encyclopedias. I've got 2 of them already. I would like to have a dog one.
You just send me a dog calendar. I'll be happy with that.
Doesn't matter what year it is.
No. Couldn't be fact.
Oh, Christ.
All right, so they have bayful baying. They magically bay.
Every enemy in 300 feet is affected. DC 13 whiz save, or they're frightened until the end of the hound's next turn, which is not a mechanic we see often.
Okay, yeah.
Or the target becomes incapacitated, success immune for 24 hours, yada, yada, yada.
Right. So basically giving the Yeth Hound a very quick or a one-time kind of option to get, like, they have one attack in between using that and the frightened being done.
Yeah, exactly.
And they take advantage of that extra
apparently
damage.
Doing these both on the same turn is too much for a CR4 creature.
For sure, yeah. A quick way to be able to beef those guys up.
Yeah, exactly. So a frightened creature starting its turn within 30 feet of the Yeth Hound must use all of its movement to get as far away from the hound as possible using the most direct route, even through hazards, and it must finish its move before taking another action.
So is that specific to the Yeth Hound, even through hazards?
Dude. Yeah, wow. It's crazy. Like, it's a really chunky... Stats, the actions on this thing are really chunky.
Yeah.
And this is no exception to it. So I think I boiled it down to what it means, but this is like a paragraph and a half of information, and it specifically details what happens during the frightened condition and stuff like that. And it's stuff that you just know when a creature gets frightened that it does. But I don't understand why they wrote all that down. They were really specific about it moving through hazards, which is cool and great. But they
They do that a lot. I feel like in the stat blocks, they always thoroughly explain exactly what the function is, so that there's no. I mean, they just quickly reference, like, go check such and such page for the condition, and any exceptions are listed here. But they don't. They just give you the full paragraph every time.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, conditions especially, like, it doesn't need to be in there unless it's different.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, maybe it's because it specifically says most direct route even through hazards, like, whereas fear is just you need to retreat.
Yeah, that is a very, very different from the usual. And it's also,
it also gives you your standard action at the end of it, which is crazy. Like,
look at
for
that.
its move action.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a modified fear effect.
Okay, it's true, but it also says move as far away from the hound as possible, which is usually interpreted as you have to spend your standard action to dash and move even farther if you have the option. If you do, I guess if you don't have the option, if you're stuck in a room or something like that, then maybe you move all 20 of 30 feet, and then you're like, okay, well, I have my bonus and standard action left, so maybe that's why that's still in there.
But the whole thing is a modified fear effect.
Right.
The second sentence where it says saving throw or be frightened. Frightened is not italicized, so it's not the fear condition. The fear condition lasts until saved. This lasts until the end of the Yeth Hound's next turn. So
and let's not forget about the fact
modified fear effect.
These things might be hunting in a pack too, and it doesn't say anything about that extra psychic damage being from the Yeth Hound that feared you.
There's almost no way you could use these on their own and make them viable.
Right. So you're actually looking. That's a pretty beefy risk, because I was thinking, if you're just fighting one of these one-on-one, they fear you. You run as far as you can. They may not even be able to catch up to you. And if you double move and bite and take advantage of that, so they would be really
that's
in a weird
why
spot.
That's in there is so that you don't move 60 feet, because these creatures can only move 40.
Yeah.
Right. And the standard movement is 30 feet. So
it's probably also
you move 30 feet, and then you can take your full action, because most players aren't going to think, oh shit, I'll move 60 feet, so I'm far enough away from it that it can't get me, because they won't know it does an extra 46.
Right. Yeah. And it also makes sense that, like, it might be tied into not only the CR, but that sort of idea that, the frightened does end at the end of the creature's next turn, because if you are double moving, or you happen to have 40 feet of movement, well, you're just going to keep staying at a distance from this creature, like, constantly. And if you don't succeed the save, you might just accidentally run away from it because of this condition, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And I mean, mechanically it works. It's just so chunky for almost no reason. Like, they're using the word frightened in there, which they shouldn't be doing, because frightened is a condition. That word has connotations in this game that exist other places. Like, it should be scared or afraid, or it shouldn't be frightened. Frightened is a specific noun. So I got problems with that, but mechanically it all works. Like, I've got no problem with how it works mechanically. I think it all works. I think it's too chunky. I think you could have easily dropped 1d6 and 2d6 psychic and kept the same CR, and then just given them the frightened effect.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, like the use of the word frightened, because now I've just pulled up the condition just to double check it, and it is tremendously different from, you have disadvantage on ability attacks and attack rolls while the source of the fear is within line of sight, and you can't willingly move closer to the source of fear. So it doesn't say anything about running away.
And
that is a wholly different version. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very misleading.
So I've said this to you before, and I'm sure I've said it on air before, but words mean things, and when you give words a meaning like this, like
Poppycock.
When you write frightened down, even if it's not italicized, it kind of needs to mean frightened.
Right, yeah.
Is that you've trained us to identify that word as meaning this specific thing. You can't just fucking throw it away in one stat block because you feel like it.
That's why like the Pathfinder conditions have they're a little more fleshed out, which is nice because they have like levels. I think, like, for example, keeping on topic with this creature for Pathfinder, I think it's shaken, and then frightened, and then panicked.
Well, there's a fucking shaken condition in 5e.
Is there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's gotta be.
No. Stunned. That's another one. Shaken, and then I think stunned, and then something else in Pathfinder. Like there's a couple of them that definitely sort of follow without specifying it. It's like shaken, stunned, paralyzed, or something like that.
It is stunned, yeah.
Yeah. So
frightened, invisible, prone, restrained, grappled, incapacitated, petrified, prone, fatigued. Yeah, okay, you're right.
Isn't it strange? Like the more we play Pathfinder and Starfinder and stuff, like the more we accidentally start to impose some of the concepts from it onto just the research and how we imagine the mechanics working for these creatures. It's by accident, right? You're like, why doesn't this work?
To be clear to our listeners, like I love 5e. I have such a huge spot in my heart for 5e. But I think Pathfinder's a better game. I think mechanically it's written better, but I love chunky rules.
Yeah, I've been having this debate back and forth with the other group I've been playing with that plays 5e, and my friend who has this incredible world he's been building and playing in for about 4 years. He has some troubles with started playing some Starfinder with him. He's having some troubles with like the he feels like it's a bit suffocating with all of the rules.
Oh yeah, for sure it is.
At first it is. Like you start to, you're like, oh my God, there's so much to take in.
Sessions of Pathfinder.
Oh, it was a nightmare. I was like, this is not, I don't get it. And this is too much. But the more you play it,
nerds is how I often refer to it.
The more you play it, it's hard to go back. It becomes more and more difficult to go back. But that is the sort of beauty of 5e, is that it is extremely flexible because it is vague and unspecific, and it is easy to add things in and keep it balanced. And it's not hard at the end of the day to add those things we love about, say, Pathfinder or Starfinder or whatever, to add them into 5e.
Right.
In fact, just today I was talking to that same guy. His name is Max, and I told him about how elemental resistance worked, where you actually have a number and you minus that off the first amount of damage. And he's like, "I'm totally putting that in my game." It's like it's a way better way of doing it. Yeah, instead of just having the damage every time. It's like, elements work this way and stuff. And he's like, "That's awesome. I love that. I'm doing that." It's like, yeah, totally easy to do.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff is left over from 3.5, so you could just convert 3.5 modules. But I was talking to a guy, shout out to Tyler Kripp. He and I were talking about it because he's been looking at running a Pathfinder 2e game, and he said that 5e is a dungeon master's game, where Pathfinder is a player's game. And because 5e, you can kind of manipulate things, and you can make stuff up and change things on the fly, and really the game really flows to the dungeon master.
Right.
Whereas in Pathfinder, as a player, you can reference a specific rule at any time and just be like, oh, well, no, this is how this works. There's no confusion there. There's no real room for interpretation. Mm-hmm. There's room for interpretation in any game.
Right. But you're a little more obligated to you specify if something's going to be a house rule or an exception or a homebrew. You really have to go out of your way.
It's just implied that there's going to be homebrew.
Right. Yeah. That's funny you said that too, because I was talking to Max about his world, and I was like, "Have you ever thought about trying to work it into a proper 5e supplement? Write it down and make a world book, do a homebrew world book." And he's like, and yeah, maybe, and it's never really thought about it, but I did say something to him. I was like, he's like, oh, I don't have when you actually start to write it down, you start to put parameters in and walls on what can and can't happen. He's like, not that I'm opposed to it, I just haven't done it because my whole world is so flexible and I'm constantly building it. I was like, yeah, but you don't have to worry about that. You got to do that. But if you write it down, every DM, they're never going to listen to all of your rules. They're just going to do whatever they want. He's like, that's a very good point. It's a very good point, especially with 5e.
Nobody's going to play in his world.
Yeah,
right. His world for inspiration, but it's not going to be his world. Parallel universe theory.
Yeah, exactly. People are going to take the parts they want and use them, and they're going to ignore the rest of it. So it's not about.
That's why
those
I buy
rules
the adventure paths in 5e. Is just so I can use them as inspiration.
100%. Yeah.
That's pretty far on the homebrew track. Do you have anything you want to change to the Yeth Hounds to make them
not particularly? No, I think. I think. They don't have pack tactics, but you could add that in and give them a pretty big boost, I think.
Yeah. There's a goblin warlord. A hobgoblin warlord. ability that I think I would give these guys. Where as an attack, they can have a reaction, but I would give it to their huntsman.
Right. Yeah, I like the idea of a huntsman being involved with these creatures. To make a much more flavorful scenario. Or maybe you encounter one or two here and there, and eventually you work your way up to a much grander fight. Now you're familiar with these creatures, but then the huntsman is there, and it changes the the game of what you're fighting, because his presence, it gives them more options. I like that idea. Right. Obviously, telepathic bond in there, like that's probably meant to play into that, but they obviously haven't fleshed that sort of idea out, which is kind of a shame.
I am a little sad that there's no huntsman's stat block in 5e.
Yeah, it's strange.
It seems a little unfinished.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you could Jimmy rig something with a goblin or hobgoblin that or maybe what are the little
necromancer specifically listed in.
What are the hyena guys called again?
Gnolls.
Gnolls, yeah. I bet you Gnolls could maybe be a bit in charge or trap some of these creatures and try and command them. I was thinking earlier maybe making the frightened thing harder to shake off, or maybe longer, but now that I think about it, I don't think it's the right direction to go, because you could very quickly and accidentally gimp and kill a player in a very unfair manner. If they're just if they can't make that save, and they're just constantly frightened and taking an extra 46 damage from a pack of hounds, they could go down real quick and have no control, no power to avoid it, or feel like they have no power to avoid it other than their first save. And you're bordering on very unfair territory there.
Well, with the fear condition, you got to save every round.
Yeah, sure. But even then, it's the combination of the bite and extra damage and that fear effect. I think that's why it ends at the end of the hound's next turn, and rather than it's got to be. And I wouldn't. What I'm trying to say is I wouldn't change that. I thought earlier maybe it would be a good way to beef it up, but I disagree with myself now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the other way and say I would change that. Yeah. I would hands down change it to 300 feet, DC 13 Wisdom save, or you're frightened until saved. I think that's perfectly reasonable, but I want to make it clear that these creatures individually are listed as a CR4 creature. Mm-hmm. This could not in any way, in my mind, be a CR4 encounter. No,
certainly not.
I would have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of these guys around like a vampire, and then, that would be a CR12 encounter.
Right.
So I would never use these in a CR4 encounter.
Yeah, you're meant to encounter a few of them. Yeah, for sure. I think the one caveat I would add to is if you were to let that frightened condition continue until saved, I would add one more thing in, is that any time you take a hit, you get a save as well, rather than just on your turn. You have a chance to shake it off.
You can handle 66.
I genuinely fear the eventuality of someone just being unable to shake it off and dying too quickly in a very unfair manner. That's what would stay my hand on that.
For sure, but the average damage on this, if they get it with the psychic damage, is 22 damage.
Right.
Like, if we're talking about a higher level party, which, again, I think we have to be, I would be talking about a party of 4 level 12 characters, 1 CR9 vampire, 5 CR4 Yeth Hounds, and I would stat that it probably is a CR12 encounter.
Right.
18 damage plus 4 piercing is fucking nothing. And a DC 13 Wiz save is kind of nothing. Like, if you at a 10 Wisdom, you've got a 40%, 60% chance of saving. Like,
but I mean, assuming you have a character at level 12 with a hit die of a D8 and they rolled an 8 every time, they're looking at 96 hit points. And if they're frightened and then get attacked by 3 hounds, that you said the average is about 22. Well, they're almost dead, and that could happen in one round of combat, right? And if it comes around to their turn and they fail to save again, that's the situation I fear. Like they'll feel like they had no chance against that extra damage.
They kind of didn't. I mean, that's not your fault. That is a rule of the die.
It is because you've changed the rule. That's the point I'm trying to get. It is because you changed the rule, so it does become your fault.
I don't know.
With the balance, the way
players
it is
can
now,
always run.
But
You can
again,
always
yeah,
get the fuck out
it
of
does because this frightened condition, this baleful baying condition, is so it's so exceptional from the actual frightened condition. I just think you run a much larger risk by changing it much at all.
I don't think you run that much of a risk because even if they fail it on rules as written, if they fail it, they could still get hit by those 3 hounds. Like, you're not changing the conditions of the test that much. You're changing it so instead of it lasts 1 round, it lasts until they save. The difference between 1 round and 2 rounds at 12th level is very little.
Right, but you also don't have control if it goes to 3 or it goes to 4 rounds. That's the luck of the
actually,
dice.
you do have control of that.
How do you have control of that?
You as the dungeon master have complete control of that. You lower the HP. You lower their AC because they're targeting it as a pack. Like,
yeah, but
encounter design doesn't stop when you roll initiative.
Sure, yeah, and I know we're talking about homebrew.
The Hound Master can call the hounds back at any given time, and then go in because he wants to kill. He wants that soul. Maybe he does. Specifically with a vampire, he doesn't want that creature dead. He wants to turn it. He wants to feed. Like, you have so much room to wiggle.
Right.
Like,
Well, I mean, I know we're talking about homebrew, so obviously, like, you can change whatever you want because you also have an idea of what you're going to do if things do go awry. Like, you have control over your changes.
In my head.
Yeah. But like, say if you were to write that down, you were like, I'm going to increase the CR of this creature by doing this. You can't guarantee that someone who reads that in this higher CR stat block will know to do what you thought of beforehand. And I think that's a pretty pivotal and key thing to how these stat blocks are written, and in the intended balance. They are the way they are, so that
stat blocks are just a guideline, right?
Without they don't operate on the assumption that people will know how to fix it if it's too powerful, on the fly.
And I can't imagine there are that many dungeon masters out there who are running every creature as written. Like, everybody fucks with shit here and there.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's, you fudge your dice rolls or whatever. Like,
it's hard to say. I would say it's genuinely hard to say. I would say because I can speak for the Starfinder thing, and I've only done that. Our Starfinder campaign, I have not fudged a single number in the months we've played.
Oh my
not
God.
one.
I could not live like that. Like, I hate saying shit like this because I know our players listen and you're my co-host. But I don't track hit points. Like, I count up to a point where I think it's reasonable, and then they're dead.
Yeah. Every single step, and it's been a proper challenge. It's been difficult to do, but I've kept to every single tactic, every single number, making sure. Obviously, I screw up some of the mechanics along the way because it's a lot to remember. But as far as my efforts go, everything has been as above board as possible. I've never fudged.
It blows my mind
number.
that in this conversation you are Spock and I'm Kirk. There's no other situation where this would be different.
You're so right. We're always on the opposite side of this. Yeah. That's so
play
funny.
It free and easy. Like, it's your encounter. It's your responsibility to change the encounter when you need to.
Well,
again, run it as written. But if you're going to change something, you've got to change everything.
There is something to be said about, like, running, because the difference is I am running a pre-written adventure, right? And I'm trying to keep it as true as it can to that adventure as it can be, and especially when it comes to combat. Pretty early on, you guys killed something very powerful because I followed its tactic, where it moved across the room to go stand in a specific spot because someone was too close to an item it was wanted to protect. And 2 critical hits on a 2 attacks of opportunity in 1 move, and it was dead.
But I mean, again, that's not on you. That's the dice roll.
It is, but it's also me
not on
sticking.
The encounter design.
It's also me sticking to the tactics and to the book of that creature and of that specific encounter.
But even if it didn't move, you could not predict that the next 2 hits were going to be critical. Like that, we're talking about chance versus encounter design.
No, 100%.
I'm not saying leave this up to chance. Like, if you're going to change this creature so that it hits harder and it attacks better, like, you don't leave that up to chance. Like, I mean, you can leave it up to chance, but you as the dungeon master have the option of fudging your dice rolls or changing your enemy's tactics. Like, it's not, they've got a hunt master, they've got somebody who's in control, they have a little bit of intelligence, like, they're going to follow orders. So just change the test as things go sideways. Like, that's your job as an encounter designer, is to change it as things are getting bad. If you're going to follow it rules as written, then follow it rules as written. Like, go straight and narrow like you're doing, and I respect that.
Right.
But if you change one thing, you've got to keep a whole eye on that encounter.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think one of the biggest things, and the point I was trying to get to was that running something pre-written versus running something homebrew. Did you design that encounter from the ground up, or are you following it from the recommended structure of someone else? And I'm certainly if I was doing something homebrew, like I would read the stat blocks, but that's when I would absolutely be fudging those numbers and changing them and sort of adapting to the encounter to make sure it was more flavorful. I would totally have definitely done that. Made a vampire way more powerful than he should have been one time, just for flavor's sake. And it was.
You don't think that's part of it with like even pre-written adventure design?
I mean, it can be. I'm not saying it's not, but I see a merit now that I've done. This is the first time I've run a pre-written adventure, and now that I've done it, there are things I see that I can add in and change, and I'm hoping to do with our next one. But I see the merit now in sticking to it, and in that moment, like say that example where you double crit, and it was awesome. I certainly didn't complain, but I was blown away. I was like I stuck to it. And it blew up in my face. But it was an awesome moment. It was really, really cool. I was glad I didn't fudge any numbers because you guys walked into a room, not sure what to expect. We were immediately attacked by a pretty large, intimidating robot for the first, sort of automaton you guys had encountered. And you trashed it. And you guys all felt really good. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm glad I didn't up its hit points. I'm glad I didn't change anything there because it accidentally turned into something really, really fun. So
right,
I see a certain merit in not fudging those numbers.
For sure, but you could also, I guess my point is that you could fudge those numbers and still be a slave to the story. Like, even if you're not tracking hit points, for example, you could, when it double crits, is like, that's fucking awesome. Encounter's over. Like,
right.
Rewards. Like, I feel like you're just so much more in control of the story when you're a little bit looser with it. Mm-hmm. And I guess I don't really have a whole lot of runway to talk because I haven't run a full-length adventure like you are. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm starting to think that it has more to do with my familiarity with the system.
Right.
Like, I would not be comfortable freewheeling in Starfinder because I don't have the kind of experience that I have with it that I do with D&D. Whereas, D&D, I've got 5 or 6 years of dungeon mastering under my belt now, and it's I'll fucking freewheel. I'll invent creatures. I'll figure out encounter designs.
Yeah.
And those when I'm running like Pathfinder pre-written stuff. It's there are suggestions, but I very rarely follow them. I think about what that creature is and what they're doing, and I look at their intelligence and their wisdom stat block, and I come up with my own tactics for them.
Yeah. I think probably maybe one of the biggest things to consider in this comparison. It's that stat blocks in those games, the difference in these game systems, like they operate so differently.
For sure.
They're just not really comparable.
It really is apples and oranges.
Yeah. It's really, really tough, especially like, for example, with Starfinder, and I think Pathfinder, but definitely Starfinder, you find yourself, you find a lot of NPC sort of enemies, they're humanoids, like they literally have the build of a class, of a player character class, and you have to like know that build, whereas in 5e, that never happens. Like they might be a roguish type character, but they aren't a rogue, right? They might have evasion, but they aren't a rogue with sneak attack necessarily. They aren't built. If they're a CR5 like roguish type character, they are not a level 5 rogue class. 5e doesn't operate that way.
Most of the time, there are a few exceptions at the front and the back of some books. Like I'm looking at Vol's Guide to Monsters, so I just flipped to the end, and they have a transmuter here who is a transmuting wizard, and they effectively are a 6th level wizard,
right?
For all their stats, everything from hit points to that, but not like the big bad beasts of the book.
Right, and clearly they've chosen the transmutation school to specialize in, sort of thing. But they may not necessarily have, like, say, the arcane pool or whatever it is, right? They'll be missing features from, say,
that's a sorcerer.
Oh, is it? Well, you know what I mean. They'll be missing features like, if a player were, say, playing that class, right?
Yeah,
they won't be.
I don't think the assassin in the monsters manual has sneak attack.
I don't think I've ever seen a stat block with sneak attack.
No, it's too overpowered.
All right, well, with all of that hot and heavy debate,
Thank you for that, though. That was a lot of fun to,
I love that.
really get.
We haven't done that in a while, probably because we haven't been in the same room in a while. So
yeah, it's just nice to see how different our GMing styles are, and hopefully give you guys some inspiration out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we promise we don't hate each other.
No, I love them all the more for it.
Yeah, it's always good to have a healthy dialogue about different styles and ideas,
and a healthy disagreement.
A healthy disagreement, yeah.
Well, it is. It's there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. Like,
yeah,
it's part of the creative process,
like,
I think.
I play at James' table and he plays at mine. Like we have a great time. So, these conversations are always just like a peek behind what we think, but you never really. I don't imagine either of us really ever feel the effects of what we discuss here, like when we're actually playing. Like, we don't really see those things happening, right? We just.
I'm normally drunk by now anyway, so I just forget by the time I get to the table.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's it for me on Yeth Hounds. That's for sure. I think in general, they without the master and the pack thing, they are pretty meh. Not super keen on them. It's a shame that the stat block doesn't include a master or maybe even pack tactics, and it doesn't include something to. I think these stat blocks need more of a recommended way or a few ideas of how to use them, like they did. I think, like you told me, it was in maybe 4th or 3rd edition.
Yeah, 40. They've got suggested tactics.
Yeah, it'd be so much cooler to have those things in, because a new DM might look at this creature and go, oh, they're pretty cool, and then have a level 4 party face it at once, and it's like, okay, that was okay. It was an okay encounter, but it wasn't like anything thrilling. But if you've been doing it longer and you're like, okay, and you realize that pack tactics do exist, let's do this in a group. Let's have a master huntsman. You start to construct something really cool, and that's something Wizards shouldn't be afraid to recommend people doing,
for sure. Yeah. But also, we're here for that too.
That's exactly.
If you've got any friends who are new DMs, point them our way, and we'll try and help them through it.
Heck yes.
For $5 a month, they can get a handwritten thank you letter from us, or direct access to us on our Discord, and access to our show notes on Patreon, so they can see exactly kind of what we talk about. They can break it down into details if they ever want to go back. For $10, they can even suggest a creature they want to hear.
Yeah, we had one not too long ago. What was it? Displacer Beast. We just did.
Nothix.
Nothix. Sorry, Nothix. And what's the? Hey, they're your friends.
Yeah.
And what's the other one that's been asked?
I don't. Do we want to give that up?
Oh, no, actually, no. I just remembered it. We're not giving it up. You guys have to wait.
Right. It's a big one.
It's a big one. Yeah, it's really good.
So big thank you to Josh, or at General Ham Solo on Twitter and Instagram for that. He's the one who's requested the next Patreon exclusive episode. Except it's not exclusive.
We don't own any rights.
But if you have any questions about that or about our GMing styles, you can always email us at info@encounterthis.ca or hit us up on Twitter at encounterpod. We've also got a Facebook page at facebook.com/encounterthis. You're looking for archive episodes, you can find them on encounterthis.ca. And you can also find pretty pictures that Freeman posts.
Yeah, I started posting the various artworks on Instagram. It is encounter.this. I have it up here now.
God, we need to fix this.
Yeah, I've just been posting various artwork from the various editions, and as I come across cool pieces of art, fan art, and all that stuff, I'm just going to post those and throw credit where I can, and just to get a cool, more visual reference on some of the creatures that we cover and tend to cover.
Yeah. So if you want to get a hold of Freeman, you can slide into his DMs on Twitter. If you want to get on Instagram. If you want to get a hold of me, you can hit me up on Twitter. We both kind of share the Facebook and the email. If you liked the episode, we'd appreciate a rate and review, specifically on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a bunch. But what about you, creatures? Any of you out there got an experience with Yeth Hounds that you want to share to us?
Let us know.
And as always, thank you so much for listening. Bye.